Hello, welcome to another Becoming a Modern Man. This is another matchup with our Grixis Death Shadow deck, and once again we're playing against Bogles. This was a fairly quick matchup, but it displays kind of an interesting way that Death Shadow works. So I think it was worth just making a video on, just to see the interesting interaction and maybe sort of learn a bit of a lesson about how Death Shadow works. So opponent leads off with Temple Garden into Glade Colour Scout. Our hand is kind of threat heavy, but we have Liliana of the Veil, which is obviously great. We didn't know our opponent was playing Bogles, obviously, but Liliana, definitely a very good card in this matchup. We'll play Spider Umbra and a Rancor on his Scout and attacks for 4. Just going to get Watery Grave here and Thought Scour, which finds us Serum Visions, and we can play Death Shadow and Tasigur this turn, which is pretty nice. So yeah, pretty powerful start for us. One's got Ethereal Armour and a Hyena Umber, so you can make a 9/7. You can't attack though, because he'd just be dead on the swing back. We'd have a 12/12 Death Shadow and Tasigur to attack with, so that works out perfectly well for us. And yeah, we stick a Liliana of the Veil. Our opponent with no access to any answer to that then has to call it a day, so that worked out fairly well. And get a fairly quick game 1 win there. So on to game 2. I mean, I suppose it also relates to game 1, but I think we'll show it the way it worked out. So this is our opener. We've got Death Shadow Tasigur, we've got Kozilek's Return, Colam's Command, and a Thoughtseize. So that seems pretty solid. A couple of lands. So pretty much everything we need. Maybe a bit of draw may be useful, but opponent leads off with Glade Colour Scout. We're going to get to Thoughtseize here, off a Watery Grave. And we see our opponent's hand is basically all creatures, but for a Keen Sense, which would allow him to draw cards, so we're definitely going to take that and leave him with a bunch of creatures. It also makes this Kozilek's Return pretty great if our opponent's just going to be running out little hexproof creatures with no auras to back it up. Goes into Ethereal Armour, which is fairly good, but obviously unless he has a few more auras to run with, not the most exciting. We can run out Death Shadow here. There's a 3/3. Opponent plays Rancor. Decides not to attack us. We draw to Liliana, which is pretty great. There's another Ethereal Armour. Next one 9. So this is the interesting bit. So basically, it's quite confusing, but Death Shadow doesn't get killed by trample essentially ever, because the way the game looks at it is that Death Shadow currently in this situation, Death Shadow is a 3/3, so with trample, only 3 damage needs to be dealt with the Death Shadow, and the rest of the damage will be dealt to me, and I will lose life accordingly. However, the game doesn't check if Death Shadow is dead until after I lost my life, and by the time I've lost my life, Death Shadow becomes bigger, because its size is obviously based on my life total. So in the bizarre way that this works, because our opponent's got First Strike and Trample, our opponent is going to attack us for 9. We block with our Death Shadow. Death Shadow is going to take 3 damage. I'm going to take the 6 damage, going down to 4. And then I'm going to go down to 9. So we'll see this here. So going to damage. Okay, so we go down to 4. Our Death Shadow becomes a 9/9, so it doesn't die. And what's more, because our opponent has First Strike, our Death Shadow hasn't dealt damage to his creature yet, so we actually kill his Glade Colour Scout, funnily enough. So yeah, our opponent was not too happy about that. But that is the way that works, unfortunately, for our opponent. So yeah, if you ever get attacked by a creature with trample that's bigger than your Death Shadow, blocking is a very good idea. Without the First Strike, it's not likely your Death Shadow will kill them, because your Death Shadow will deal damage at the same time when it's a smaller creature. But basically your Death Shadow can't really be killed by a trampling creature. Yeah, if that creature happens to have First Strike as well, there's a good chance your Death Shadow will hit back harder than expected and kill off your opponent's creature. So yeah, that's how that worked out. And yeah, as I say, my opponent was very unhappy with that situation, which is kind of understandable. He plays a Boggle here, and that kind of plays into our hands. We can Kozilek's Return, clear the board, and attack for 10. I mean, even if our opponent hadn't attacked, basically the plan was to use Kozilek's Return to clear out the other guys, and then we could have Liliana'd and made him sacrifice the big creature. So I think we had this either way, but as it turns out, that's the way it worked out. Like I say, opponent not too happy about the situation. And drop Liliana, get our opponent to discard down to 1 card in hand, and going to follow up with a Tasiga, and that wraps it up. So yeah, not a particularly exciting game, but a quick one, and yeah, just a way to look at how state-based effects make it kind of complicated to kill Death Shadow. Trample damage does not really work as a way of killing this guy.